Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Angie.
And together we are TwinFinity.
We are twin flames back with another question and answer video. It's been forever. And by the way, I'm going to say this now before I forget. I have to sit in a very specific spot. Otherwise, I'm blinded by sun and you might be blinded by sun. So we're actually trying to capture the last of the sun of the day.
And we're going to be successful. It's a nice blue sunny day. I'm wearing red and yellow and gray because Angie kind of had it planned that we were going to do a video tonight, which was a good idea. And I've just got my run of the day done, and there's no real time to...
This is tricky.
Yeah, oh, sure it is. And it'll be a little bit trickier, too. You're eventually going to just work your way off the screen here as the sun works its way towards your side.
I feel like I'm so far away from you. I'm leaning way over here. Hi.
We're also on a very slopey portion of our backyard, and I'm leaning uphill, and she's leaning uphill. I actually have a kneecap in my ribs, but that's fine. It's a nice kneecap.
The crazy things we do for videos, just to be outdoors.
So I didn't have time to change because we've got less than an hour before the sun actually goes down behind us and it turns us into darkness. So this is, just to be clear, it's the last day of September 2020.
Yes, it won't be by the time you watch this video because it'll probably be the weekend before I actually post it. So it'll be October by then.
Yeah.
I can't even move my head.
It's only a Wednesday right now. So anyway.
I'm having fun.
Manipulating sunlight.
Yes.
Of course, looking at the screen, I look like I've got brightness on the other side of my head, and I look like I'm blacked out on this side over here.
I think we are to us, but maybe not to them. I hope not to you.
Anyway.
So we wanted to first, well, I will explain, Rob can do his own explaining if he wishes, why it's been so long since we've done a question and answer video. We definitely hadn't planned on taking what's now 3 months.
3 months.
To do a question and answer video, but life has just kind of been life, and I wanted to walk you through a little bit about what's been going on for me. Just so you know, like, I often find people think that once you get into twin flame union, life is perfect and you never have any more concerns or problems and you just float through life. And while sometimes that's true, sometimes it's not so much true. So just a quick recap of what's been going on for me. I think I've shared in quite a few other videos that I've just been tired a lot. Well, I finally figured out that I was really burnt out. I still have all the different jobs that I do, my regular job, my bookkeeping business. I do Reiki on the side. I'm the secretary of our community. And there's other things, and then twin flame stuff. I just have a lot, and I tend to be, as a nurse, a giver, and so I tend to give too much energy. So I really burnt myself out, and I really just needed to pull away.
This burnout for Angie, from my point of view, has actually been in full swing since the beginning of the year, actually. Yes. But, you know, a person burns out, but they still soldier on, even though they just don't have the energy to. And eventually, they just have to slow down and take a break because it starts to affect all aspects of their life.
Yep. And it was because I wasn't really listening to that burnout, my body decided to give me more. So COVID hit, and we've also mentioned in previous videos, I'm a transmuter. So I was transmuting a lot of collective energy, and that took a lot of my energy and was very draining. And then because of that, I ended up with digestion issues, because when you're digesting energy, your body then has problems digesting food. So I struggled for months with abdominal pain and issues, and every night I'd go to bed with my belly just aching, and I started to think there was something seriously wrong with me, but finally just figured out I just needed to really eat very, very basic foods. So I've been feeling so much better with digestion for, what, months now?
A couple of months.
A couple of months, yeah. It's way better. And then, as if all that wasn't enough, and this might be TMI, but for a lot of you that watch us, I know you're female, so this might be helpful for you. My body decided it was a good time to start menopause. So I'm very grateful for my saint of a husband here. I've not been the easiest person to deal with. I've been quite miserable and cranky and moody and everything else that you want to add into that.
I'm not adding anymore.
And
La
struggling
la
with
la.
sleep issues, just so much going on. And I'm not at all promoting this, but I brought this outside to show you. I discovered this, and I'll get it really close. Sorry, we won't block off Rob. Um, Not at all like I don't get paid for promoting this or anything else. It's really been helpful for me. It's today a month exactly I've been on this stuff, and it has made such a difference. It's all natural, it's all herbal, and it has really, really helped. So if anybody else is struggling and wants another option, might be worth trying. Of course, I'm not a doctor, so always, go see a doctor first. But as a nurse, I do recommend it if it's an option for you. So that's my stuff.
My stuff is not near so complex, but yet it still did take a lot of energy. I still work at the same place that I used to work at, but when COVID came along and changed the world that we live in, my job position was actually eliminated, and I've been adjusting to a bunch of new job duties. So, as much as I feel like my job responsibilities are not as demanding, just because what I'm doing now is new, I still come home tired at night. I really do. I'm starting to get into the swing of it now, and it's a never changing. Well, okay, it's never stable, always changing target that I'm trying to keep up to as far as what my job description really is. So, just to be clear, the world has been spinning COVID concerns all around us. Neither one of us even know anyone
Nope.
who has had COVID. Up here in Canada, it hasn't been as rough as some other areas of the world. It really hasn't. But at the same time, everyone's being careful. It's just masks all over the place, and we're trying to hang on and avoid that almighty potential possibility of a second wave. The first wave was enough in spring. Thank you very much. I spent way too much time inside. So yeah, between not pushing Angie at all, because I recognized that she needed to take just a little bit of time off just to catch herself again and get back on an even keel. And plus, I've been burning a lot of energy, and I'm not going to deny it either. I've been enjoying a lot of summer this year.
Yes, you have.
I've been outside a lot. I've been golfing a lot. We've been doing a little bit of running. So
I've been to the mountains a lot as usual.
Have.
Yeah, we've done lots of climbs and hikes this year.
So it's been a little bit of a summer off, and I'm going to say this. I've really missed doing videos as frequently as what we used to. Now, we probably won't ever go back to doing videos once a week, every week, with a few extra sprinkled in. That was a lot. That's part of what burnt Angie right completely out.
Yes.
And I have to admit, I was getting way too comfortable sitting in front of a computer doing recording. So we really do want to get back in the swing of things for fall and winter, and I know I really want to. I've really missed doing things like question and answer videos.
So on that note, since we've updated you, we won't talk too long. We'll get into some questions because some of you asked these quite a while ago. But as per a recent video that I just did on my own, the universe always has perfect divine timing. And I know you guys have even said before, wow, thank you for answering my question when you did, because it was perfect timing. So even though some of you have had to wait a while, hopefully your answers will be divine timed and they'll be what you need right now.
Okay, so are we ready for question number one?
You betcha. Rob's always our question reader because I'm not so good at that.
And I feel like I didn't drink enough water. My whistle is all dried out from running. I forgot to bring water. So
we remembered jackets at least.
Yeah,
hey, look at that.
we have jackets. Because as the sun goes down at the altitude that we're at, it just gets cold in a hurry.
Oh, that makes it worse.
We're going to go from approximately 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which is what it was earlier today. We're going to be going down to below the freezing mark tonight, according to the weather forecast. So, yeah, when the sun goes down, temperature does too, and we're going to be on the edge of that.
Now, I moved our computer, and I just kind of made my sun shine
Worse.
Worse. Sorry.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
First question.
Okay, yeah.
Well, Angie's adjusting
I'll
stuff.
adjust. You read and we'll coordinate. There. That's a bit better. Okay.
If part of this journey is about self-love and we are in separation phase, how do we just throw that self-love out the window and let the runner come back to us after ignoring us for extended periods of time? That's a good point.
Yes.
For example, my TF and I are still friends on Facebook. Other than reacting to my posts and groups, he doesn't speak or interact with me at all. But I see him commenting on a ton of mutual friends' posts. I may as well not even exist. Am I just reading too much into this and should just accept the very limited contact as his communication for now? Yeah, that's a really good question. So the bit about self-love. Self-love is nothing that you should ever throw out the window at any time for any reason.
I'm snuggling. Hi.
You're snuggling. Actually, she's sliding down the hill is what she's doing.
I feel like our whole video, people are going to watch it like this because we're all slanted.
We're all slanted. Really, my head is straight up and down. It's the rest of the world that's all slanted.
Mine is not. I can't because, oh, hey, the sun is moving a little bit. Okay, I'm sorry. Carry on.
Yes, the self-love that you have for yourself, don't ever let go of that. Let situations spin around you. There's part of what you would call a bubble of protection. And you know, our own feelings of self-worth and self-love are very, very much part of that bubble. And really, a person can come into your life and then leave, and then come into your life again and leave. And as long as you're not allowing yourself to be an absolute doormat to this stuff, and as long as it's not being harmful to you, you can still maintain your self-love while this other person, no matter how closely connected they are to you, well, this other person figures out what they want, what they need, and why they're doing what they're doing. So they can buzz around you just like a bee. You can just let that happen. It doesn't have to be a sting every time they come back.
Rob's analogy is always perfect, and you're even wearing your bee shirt. I call him a bumblebee when he wears this shirt. I would like to address, there's kind of like two questions in this. So I'm going to address the first question first, which is about the self-love. And so how do you just throw self-love out the window and let the runner come back after ignoring us? So here's the thing. You don't throw self-love out the window. That's part of the lesson in this journey, is to finally set some boundaries and say, wait a second. Just because we're connected and you're my twin flame doesn't mean you get to just stomp all over me, walk in when you want to and walk back out when you don't want me. No, I have self-worth and here's my boundaries. Now, you don't have to be rude about it and not mean about it, but you can be firm. In fact, sometimes you have to be, and sometimes you have to really be strong and say, enough. This is not acceptable. That is what's true self-love, is taking care of yourself. Often people on this journey think self-love means being nice to your twin flame at every moment and giving in to whatever they want and tolerating all their BS. That is not self-love. That is being a victim. That is being a doormat. And that's not at all what this journey is about. So self-love is boundaries, but also in your second part where you're saying, you know, you see him commenting on other people's posts and he's not at all doing that with yours. That's a totally separate issue. Often that's common because the more somebody doesn't respond or doesn't react, it's showing where they're at. If they were balanced in their comfortableness of being in contact, they would just like your stuff and move on with their day. Because they don't like your stuff, it's usually because they like you so much that they don't know either how to express that, or they have so much fear around it because they have fear of connection, fear of intimacy, fear of you knowing how deep their feelings are. So I can almost guarantee you they're looking at all your pictures and all your posts and they're dreaming about you and doing all the things, but they don't want you to know that. That's why they're not responding or reacting to your posts at all.
If being in touch in with people around you in Facebook was such a negative part of what's happening to them, they would not do that either.
Right.
So the very thought that they're still responding in and around the Facebook groups or group that you're part of, what it means is they can still handle your existence. They just don't know what to do with it.
Yes.
If you were to completely disappear, they would probably be very drastically hurt. Just because someone's lost and confused doesn't necessarily mean that they want you out of their life. So it's probably, in a very roundabout way, the only way that they can really handle being in touch. I would consider this to be a positive, that they're still in Facebook groups with you.
Absolutely. And just to kind of tie it all together, self-love is not only setting boundaries, but it's also understanding where they are at and understanding where you're at. So yes, okay, you're probably feeling hurt and, like you're saying, ghosted, because even though you're connected with them on Facebook, they're not reacting to your stuff at all. But if you can step above the ego piece of it and see it from their larger perspective and understand where they might be coming from on an emotional level, that they have a lot of fear of letting you know on whatever level, a verbal level or liking your post level or anything, how they feel about you. So if you can step out of the, and when I say ego, there's no judgment in that. We all have ego. But step out of the ego piece, the human piece of it, and see the bigger picture and go, it's okay. They're not liking my stuff because they have issues with me. It's just their own stuff. That's part of loving them, but also loving you, because it's reminding you of what the real truth is going on, instead of doing the mind games in your own head going, oh, well, they're not doing this because they're feeling that. And you know how we play out these sort of like roles in our head of what's really going on or what we think is really going on, and it's usually not at all. It's just this whole thing we have going on that's not true. So get out of that as much as possible and just elevate yourself if you can and see it from a bigger perspective. Hope that helps.
And no, I don't think you're reading into this too much. I think it's sometimes very hard to take a look at the evidence around you and accept it for what truth it portrays, especially if you don't really want that to be the truth. Recognizing truths is sometimes very hard, and part of this journey really is about accepting that somebody isn't ready to be in your life, even though they might be later.
Right.
But you got to be where your feet are at, and if it's a situation where it's just not healthy, you have to accept that truth and maintain your sanity by maintaining the distance, even if it's not you that's even giving the distance.
All right.
So next question is, it looks like a question that could have been much bigger, but it's interesting that it's very compact. It looks like a question written in frustration.
Isn't that what this journey is frustration?
I'm not going to say any names, but this person is actually one of our regular commenters. So I because I know who it is that's doing the comments, I also have a pretty good idea, because I've read so many comments from this person, where they're coming from. And I've got the feeling. Because
have compassion for you.
Yeah.
Totally.
You do eventually get to know people through the comments that they give, and occasionally the questions that they have, and
that's why we so enjoy your comments, because it feels like a bit of an interaction with you.
It is, and for me, it's a little bit of family. I've got a family of a couple thousand people out there. I really feel like that. That's a really giant hug, by the way. Anyway, the question is, why did he not choose me when in fact he met me first? Is it because I'm much older? I can't give him kids anymore. I don't have enough money? Is that it? I really just want to move on. Well, the last part of that statement is actually probably what you need to do. But moving on, that's what the whole question here is the part of moving on. You have to decide what the
I'm
definition of
sorry.
moving on is. For
This is
most people
challenging.
on this journey, moving on actually resembles moving away. Uh,
Not physically away.
Not physically away, but moving away from the situation. Moving away far enough that it doesn't hurt you anymore. Very few people actually turn their back completely on the journey, walk away, and never look back. It's hard to do that because the beginning of the journey usually starts out with a huge amount of respect for what the journey is, and it's hard to walk away from that unless, of course, it's just so painful that that's the only way that you can exist. So moving on is oftentimes moving away. For what reasons? Is it because of age? Is it because starting another family isn't an option? Is it part of the frustration of you two had the first relationship and this other person has now moved on to another relationship that came along afterwards? All of the above? Yes. Uh, that's for the other person to decide. Most of the time, when you're in a form of separation, the confusion is just going to remain the confusion. Oftentimes, you can't mind read. You can't really find out what a person is thinking because the 5D connection is telling you one thing, but it's the 3D connection, the reason why a person is making these decisions on the third dimension, that is so hard to read because it is a three-dimensional decision that the other person is making to not be close to you. So that's why so often it's so frustrating being in separation. The 3D doesn't make sense, but the 3D is actually running the show. It really is, from the point of view of being in touch and in physical connection.
Now I'm going to answer this like we normally do from the 5D perspective.
Your turn, 5D.
This is why it's so good because we have a good balance between 3D and 5D. I believe this person has already watched, and hopefully it helped you, watched I think it was our most recent 11 video, which was something about 11 reasons or 11 benefits of other relationships.
Yes.
This is where I want to go with this. So you're asking, why didn't he choose me when in fact he met me first? Because even though he might not be conscious, probably is not conscious of the fact that he needs other relationships to grow, that's where his soul knows what needs to happen. So he's not choosing you right now, not because he doesn't love you, not because he doesn't care, not because of anything other than he has soul growth to do with other people or one other person who knows. Much like our situation, we had to be with other people before we could come back together. I could have said the same thing, and in fact I did say the same thing about Rob. Why didn't he choose me? We had this amazing connection. What was wrong with me? Why did he have to go off with this other woman? And the fact was because his soul knew he had work to do with her. He had growth to do with her. He had clearing to do with her. And we couldn't be together until that work was done, and same with me. So again, much like the other question, if you can pull out of the ego side of it and you know, the whole thing about, is it because I'm older, I can't give him kids, I don't have enough money. If you can let go of all of those and just understand the bigger picture. See it from the soul reason rather than the human ego reasons. It's got nothing to do with the fact that you can't give him kids. It's got to do with he knows he has other work to do right now, and when it's time, his soul, even though again he might not be conscious, it's not like Rob was conscious when he was like, okay, now it's time for me to break up with this other woman and go be with Angie. It just, it screamed inside of him, and he listened and honored that call within him. Remember, the soul is the one leading this show. We can think it's the human that's leading the show, but it's really, really not. And when our twin soul says, okay, now it's time, they hear that. They will feel that call and they will honor it. So trust that it's got nothing to do with you and what's going on with you. It's where they are and what they need for themselves.
And I'd like to encourage people not to be hung up upon whether or not you're first or second or third or fourth or whatever that is.
Totally. I'm falling down the hill.
Yeah, I know. Hey, she's the one sitting on the slippery blanket.
Well, and it was me that had this bright idea. Right.
No, the bright idea is 93 million miles behind you.
Here, how about there? That's better. We can have sunshine and I can come sit over here with you. Hi!
Hi.
Okay, this works. Okay.
It's a good thing I have my shoes anchored in the grass beside the blanket.
I don't know how long this will last.
Or else we'll just go fall right off the edge of the video.
Okay, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether you're first, second, third, or fourth. Know that with the twin flame connection, you're the best.
You're the best. Isn't that nice?
Okay, next.
But everybody else has their purpose.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, I just had to throw that in there. Next question you were going to say.
Yes. Oh, well. I'm the feminine energy mostly, and I was the chaser. Now that I feel balanced, I set him free, and I'm working on my boundaries. Very well, even though I still am a little obsessed over having a hard time focusing on other stuff. But my twin is still denying going deep into his feelings, and sometimes I have logical doubts about it all. There's that logic sneaking into everything again. I would like to know if you, especially Rob, that would be me, had some hints and advice to stop overthinking about it all and focusing totally on my own stuff. You know, I did lots of overthinking back in the beginning. In 1997,
No
I
way.
just thought and thought and thought, tried to figure my way around how I could make this work because it was really, really hard. I felt like I was trying to catch a moving target. I like a really, really hard to catch moving target. It was really quite difficult trying to be a chaser when what I was chasing was always changing. In order to stop overthinking, you have to let go of expectations. It's the expectations that keep you on the hook of thinking and thinking and thinking. You expect this, you expect that, then you try to achieve. So the expectations set up potential achievements, and it's the thinking of how you're going to make those achievements that creates the overthinking. So the expectations are really what's setting you up for the overthinking, my opinion. And having the logical doubts about it all, yeah, when you can't reach your expectations and your achievements, of course you're going to have doubts. But the doubts oftentimes start out as self-doubt. Because, you know, when you don't set goals normally that you don't think you can achieve. So all of a sudden, if you're not achieving your goals, most people go look in the mirror and question themselves and what they're not doing right. As I said before, sometimes these moving targets are changing so much that one day they apply to what you think you can do, and the next day they're different enough that what you did yesterday doesn't matter. And so it really does, because things change so much, it really does fuel the overthinking. Because you have to start out almost on a daily basis over and over and over again with a new template of thought. So every day you start out with a whole new set of challenges. So stepping back, stepping away a little bit, and allowing yourself to just watch what's happening without expecting anything to come of it is really a good pathway to giving yourself a break and not overthinking it and not ending up all in a state of burnout over it, really. This is going back to the burnout thing. Burnout comes from many, many different directions. Sometimes it's trying too hard to understand, and sometimes it's trying too hard to do. Angie burned out because of doing too much. Other people burn themselves out because they try to understand too much.
And try to think too much.
And try to keep it compartmentalized too much when it's not going to live in a compartment. Sorry to say that.
The only thing I wanted to add from this is kind of responses from the last two questions is, just about seeing it from the other perspective. When you're having the logical doubts, of course, that's normal. That's part of the process. But if you can sort of balance that out with giving yourself the higher perspective of knowing that divine timing has a role in this, everything is working out according to plan. Even if you can put those affirmations somewhere where you can see them every day to remind yourself of those truths, that might help you, when you get stuck in the monkey mind of the head going around and around, just be able to wait, no, everything is working out. I don't need to analyze everything. I don't need to rehash everything. I can just let it go. And it takes practice. It takes practice sort of harnessing the ego mind and balancing it with the soul knowing. So the more you do that, the easier it gets, though.
Yeah, I also saw the word obsessive. Uh-oh, someone's having trouble staying comfortable over there.
Okay, I think I got a bit better handle on things.
That's okay.
I just get to snuggle closer.
Yeah.
And stay warm.
Yeah, and stay warm.
I'm starting to shiver, but it's okay.
You can put your jacket on.
I could. I don't want to surrender to the lack of sun yet, though.
Yeah, okay.
I'll wait till the sun is gone, and then the jacket's going to come out.
When the sun's gone, the video will be over because it'll just be dark.
That's true.
I don't think that's what she meant.
No. Okay.
No, I do.
So that means we better hurry up. That's my way of saying carry on.
Not checked baggage, but carry on.
Oh boy.
Yeah, okay, that's one of my favorite common jokes.
Yes, it is.
Ah, okay.
You were saying something about obsessive.
Yes. I would say that if you feel a little bit obsessive, that maybe you should go onto a few websites that are twin flame based and read about other people who are obsessive and maybe not quite so analytical. And I think you'll realize that being an overthinker, it's almost an automatic side effect that you'll also be obsessive. Because you are obsessive, that's why you keep on thinking about it. So the two work hand in hand, and I can be quite obsessive when it comes to doing projects or learning or just about anything. I tend to take things to extremes. And that's just part of my character. And I've learned to love myself for it. And I've turned my obsessiveness in many times to my strength when I need to be persistent, when I need to just keep on gathering information or just keep on trying at something. I know that I have that in my hip pocket. So being obsessive for me, and looking at how the question was written and realizing that, yeah, this person probably is obsessive. Remember, it's probably your strength in life. So just let it be. Let it do its thing. You wouldn't be you without being obsessive. How about that? Okay, next question?
Yep.
Okay, do you want to read that question?
Oh, okay. Why, just because it's about the runner?
Yeah.
I'm going to warm up my hands while I do it.
You are starting to freeze.
I know.
Okay, there's going to be frost on the grass tomorrow. It's already found its way to your fingertips.
Yes, it has.
You are freezing already.
I didn't bring mittens. Apparently I need them.
You don't need, yeah.
Okay. At what point did you as a runner figure it out? So, oh, now I see why you're making me read this, because I was the runner. Like, what was your turning point? Or did you feel guided like the rest of us on when union was going to happen? I remember you stated in another video that you kept seeing signs saying time is now or something of that sort everywhere. Can you explain what that was like, but include the part where you are starting off with your long text message and walk us through those days to day events up until you two were in final and complete union? Wow, that's a big task. Let me see.
That you're going to have to do a giant condensation because
Yes.
um, a lot of our other videos, especially our story videos cover this, but because the story has got so much detail in it, the actual answer to the question is spread out over numerous videos. So I think what a person is looking for here is a condensed answer.
So here's the trick when you're asking what was the turning point. Often this journey, we kind of expect that it's just awakening like that or knowing like that, and it's rarely that quick, easy, and simple. For me, it was years of growth, years of awakening. So I was a runner, not just with Rob, I was a runner with other people too. My last relationship before Rob, again, we just shared this in our last 11 video. He would tell me, he would say, you're kind of like, come here, come here, come here, go away, go away. So I would want to be close and intimate. And then as soon as it got too close, too intimate, too emotionally close for me, I would freak out and I would push him away and get mean, just like I used to do with Rob. So it was an awareness over time, over many different relationships, of this sort of aha moment of, wait a second, I keep doing this and this keeps being brought to my attention. So that's what made me start realizing that I was the runner with not only Rob, but other people. It was other people pointing it out. So it wasn't just like one thing that happened, it was multiple years and years of kind of growing and changing and becoming aware of it. Now, as far as
Now, the time is now, or something of the sort. There was signs that kept on coming
yes,
up. You know, it's not all about what you think or what you experience by what you bring to yourself. Sometimes the divine just keeps on throwing hints at you.
yes, and they kept doing that. I'm going to go back 1 second though. They said,
I got to
did you feel
change.
guided like the rest of us on when union was going to happen? I didn't feel guided when union was going to happen, but I definitely felt the push from the universe. So it started when Rob and I were back in more contact. He was available to take me out for a birthday lunch because he was in between jobs. And that's when like a switch was flipped on back in my soul. Everything started to reconnect. Like for years, we could have, a quick text of, hey, how are you, blah, blah, blah. And there was nothing there emotional. It was just an old boyfriend that I still had a respect for. But this time it was like my soul reawoke to our connection. And then that's when everything started. All the signs started. That's when I discovered we were twin flames. And I started seeing the time is now. All of these things started happening. I'm going to adjust this again because we're dark. There. Can you explain what it was like, but include the parts where you're starting off with your long text message and walk us through the days to the event? I'm shivering too much. I'm going to need a coat. Oh, my coat's even cold.
We're going to get shut down by cold.
No, we'll make it. We'll make it. We'll make it.
Well, we'll finish this question for sure.
No, well, I'm hoping to do these ones too. Okay. It was just a lot of different things that happened. It's much like anybody's journey, where the universe keeps putting signs in front of you, keeps putting what I call mile markers of this is the way to go and this is the way to go. So there wasn't one thing, there wasn't one kind of specific thing that was like an aha moment. It was many little things that started happening. I started reading all this stuff online about what twin flames were, and there wasn't much at that point because twin flame stuff was very new out there. But then I started comparing it to my journals, and it was like everything that was written in my journal was exactly like what the stuff online was talking about. It was just like, wow. So it's tricky to kind of explain the day-to-day events because there was just so many of them, and it was a year and a half long. I knew about Rob and I being twin flames for a year and a half before I was finally not only guided, but the universe like screamed at me, tell him. They kept telling me for 6 months, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And finally it was just like, do it. And I had all these signs and these things that, you know, how you say, okay, show me this and I'll do it. Well, I got my sign and it like was screaming obvious. So, and until we were in final and complete union, that when I finally told Rob he got it, he got it right away. Like you just knew. And again, that's where it is when the soul is ready. The aha moments come because you're ready for them.
My turning point only really took about a week to actually happen.
Totally.
It did. Now, it took me a few weeks to believe it, but to actually happen was very quick. Just a whole lot of clues added up. It's sort of like when you're building a jigsaw puzzle and you reach the last 20 pieces and they just fall in the puzzle way faster than pieces earlier.
Yeah.
So it was very quick. It was just so hard to believe.
And this was for somebody that's a very logical, analytical person, needs to think things through, but he didn't need to think it through. He just knew because his soul was ready, and he was ready to now listen to his soul and go, oh, yes, it's time. So you heard the it's time as well as me. I was getting the time is now and it's time all of a sudden in like signs and newspaper clippings, all sorts of things, but he was hearing it internally. It wasn't me saying, it's time. And that's the thing, to go back to the previous questions. They know just as much as we do when it's time.
Yeah, you don't know when that time is really going to come along.
No.
And sometimes it's in small bits and chunks.
Exactly.
Other times it's a bunch of hints that all of a sudden make sense because something comes along to join them all together. You just never know. There's many different ways that people experience this.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if you're looking for like, how's this going to happen for me? It could be totally different for you. We can't really kind of say, okay, here's the steps of how a union happens. It's so different for every journey because you're different. Our experience is our experience. So just what I say to everybody is allow it to happen and just be in the moment, be in the flow with it. When you get those signs, when you get those inner knowings, those inner calls, you know, when you're meditating and the universe just says, do this or listen to this, or you get the repetitive signs, that's when you know. So I hope that's helpful. We have birds confirming. Okay, it's back to you now.
It's getting cold out. My kidneys are getting chilled. I can't continue.
Did you see my look? I'm like, what are you doing?
What am I doing?
No, I had to go. I'm a very task-oriented person. We got to do this.
So anyway.
Rob needs to pee.
That's pretty much it. I come back from a run, I drank a glass of water, now I'm chilled. There's only so much range in the tank. So we're going to have a part 2 to finish off our piece of paper.
Well, there won't be a part 2. We'll just carry on with the next question and answer video when we do the next question and answer video.
Yeah. We'll be doing more of these in the near future anyway, so.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. One must honor their body.
That's, you can't tell one person to honor what they're feeling and then not do it yourself.
That's right.
I'm feeling the urge to run inside.
All right, so we'll end it there before we freeze and Rob dies of needing to pee.
We'll catch you later.
Bye, we love you.
Love you. Bye.